Welcome back to part 16 of my 1 to 60 Alliance leveling guide. We left off at level 49 flying to Searing Gorge. So when you land in Thorium Point, we've got a lot of quests to grab, so start running around and talking to the dwarves. We want to take Fiery Menace, Curse These Fat Fingers, and Incendosaurs, more whatever a sword is more like it.
Good. Watch your back. Walk with you.
Then next to him take the quest What the Flux. Then go to the wanted poster for Wanted Overseer Maltorius, Stoling the smithing and lookout items, and job opportunity culling the competition. Then run down the mountain out of Thorium Point and go to Calaran for the quest Divine Retribution. Talk to him to complete the quest and then turn it in and accept the follow-up to Flawless Flame. Whew, okay, so Searing Gorge quests are a bit messy because they all kind of jumble together. Firstly, there is one elite that we cannot solo mixed in, for Wanted Overseer Maltorius. However, he is fairly easy to duo, so advertise in chat for anyone that wants to team up and kill him as you quest through the zone, as we need to pass by him for the quest What the Flux anyway, so we won't need to go much out of our way to get him. If you do get a group, shift your quest order around and go after him right away. Now there is no particular order to complete these quests aside from one exception, because it has a quest chain, the quest The Flawless Flame. Try to put priority on completing this first because the next quest wants us to kill Dark Iron Dwarves for it, which all the other quests want us to do as well, so it's good to get them all combined together. Flawless Flame needs 4 hearts of flames that drop off of any of the elementals in Searing Gorge, which you'll typically find around the lava patches. The elementals hit hard, are immune to bleeds, so you'll have to pull them one by one to fill up your HP between the fights. The golem oil drops off of the golems as well as the rock elementals, and that's much easier to get, so focus on the hearts of flame. While you are killing the elementals, we can curve around the western side of Searing Gorge and find an abundance of greater lava spiders, and kill them to work on the quest Fiery Menace at the same time as the Flawless Flame. For these greater lava spiders, their auto attacks don't hit that hard, but they like to cast fireballs. The cast bars aren't really a thing in vanilla, so it's hard to see when a spider is casting a spell visually, so use sound as your cue to pummel or intercept the spiders and stop their casts. If you let them cast too much, you will need a lot more downtime. It'll take a while to get the 20 you need. They spawn up in the western mountains as well, so put your priority on the elementals, but since the elementals don't only spawn here, once you do finally finish the Fiery Menace, we will move on. We also, while we're here, want to work on the quest Stoling, Smithing Tuyr, and Lookout Spyglass. The Spyglass drops off the Dark Iron Lookouts. They spawn around the 4 watchtowers around the large pit in the middle of Searing Gorge, the Cauldron. The towers have elites around them as well, but it's possible to pick off the lookouts on the towers just east of where we're killing the spiders. The drop rate isn't 100% on the Spyglass, but it's pretty high. And given the limited spawns of the lookouts, you should keep killing them as you find them until you get the Spyglass.
That ability isn't ready. That ability isn't ready.
The Smithing Tuyr, I don't know how to pronounce that, drops off of the Dark Iron Steamsmiths. These spawn even less. There's only 5 spawns in all of Searing Gorge, in the Dark Iron camp in the middle of Searing Gorge on the northern side of the Cauldron. The drop rate is pretty high, but the Steamsmiths suck for warriors because they put a disgusting miss debuff on you, so make sure you pull them extremely cautiously and try to grab only single pulls of them. When you start working your way into the camps of Dark Iron, take note of the 2 other quests we need to do here. Job Opportunity Calling the Competition wants us to kill 15 Taskmasters and 15 Slavers, and while there are some topside, it's way easier to get these when we go into the Slag Pit in a little bit, so focus on the Stolen quest first. Also, the quest Curse These Fat Fingers wants us to kill the golems around the Dark Iron camps here as well. The golems suck for the same reason as the elementals. We can't bleed them, they have high armor, but if you take your time, you should be able to get it done within the same time as Stolen quest. When you do complete the Stolen quest, which you should prioritize, you should immediately go back to Thorium Point and turn it in and clear your bags. The quest reward is an amazing set of plate pants for us that we will likely be wearing all the way to level 60. But when you feel ready to stop doing the topside quests and want to start with the downside quests, we want to jump down into the Slag Pit, into the underground mines beneath Searing Gorge. Just south of Thorium Point, you'll find a big crane machine leading into the ground. You can parkour off the crane and safely drop down into the Slag Pit, or fall straight down like an idiot like I do. But once you're in here, we want to clear our way through the pit northeast. Try to avoid using Demo Shout and Thunderclap and aggroing the slave workers. Also pull back Taskmasters and Slavers, as I believe they can force the slave workers to aggro you. At our level, we can handle 2 to 3 of these guys as a Fury as long as you play it smart, but don't pull more than you need to in case things go south. As you are killing these guys to complete the quest Job Opportunity, keep an eye out for an Grimsilt Outhouse Key. It's a random quest item that drops off of all the Dark Irons. We already know where the outhouse is from the previous part of this guide, and we'll be heading back there in a bit, so finding the key is just a free nice bonus chunk of experience. Eventually, you will reach the end of the Slag Pit if you go northeast and see a big metal ramp leading up. Clear all the way up the ramp and take the southern path, and you'll reach a big room that has a lot of large Dark Iron pools, mostly of 2 or 3 mobs.
Not ready. That ability isn't ready yet. That ability isn't ready.
At 49, they shouldn't be a huge problem, but make sure you are using Thunderclap and Demo Shout and Hamstring to deal with their fleeing mechanic. Keep your HP full for each of these pulls, and you should easily be able to finish up Job Opportunity here. But we also want to get What the Flux done while we're here. And if you've got a party member, this is also where we will kill Overseer Maltorius for the Wanted quest.
That ability isn't ready yet. I need to get closer. That ability isn't ready yet. I can't do it. Not ready yet. That ability isn't ready yet.
As you clear through this room, hug the right wall and it'll open up into a ledge where Overseer Maltorius is sitting with a friend, and behind him are the documents we need for the quest What the Flux. If you are able to find someone to help kill him, then kill him. He acts like a weird shadow priest that puts on Shadow Word Pain and Polymorph, so try to save your interrupt for his Polymorph, CC or kill his ad first. He's almost soloable, but because of his Shadow Word Pain stopping us from bandaging, it's a little bit too much for us to handle by ourselves. If you don't have a group, you can run in and Intimidating Shout or CC him, and then quickly loot the Secret Plan's Fiery Flux behind him, and then just leash the elite. And when you're done with that shenanigans, clear around this area some more for the Taskmasters and Slavers until you finish Job Opportunity Culling the Competition, or at least get pretty close to finishing it.
Not enough rage. That ability isn't ready.
Then we will move southward further and follow the metal bridge over the lava pit, and then when we get to the other side, we will drop down onto the ledge and follow the narrow path east and north. And eventually you should start seeing Incendosaurs in these caverns. We need to kill 20 of them, but there are not 20 spawns. Given our kill speed though, we should be busy the whole time we're down here. Like the spiders, try not to let the Incendosaurs get any spells cast off. Their cast animations for the fireballs is a bit hard to spot. In their mouths, they burn a bit. It's best to just listen for the sound cues while they are casting, and use pummel and intercept to interrupt them. Because of the limited spawns, it is best to group up as you kill them, but while you're doing it, let's talk about all these weird items that have been dropping for you in this zone. Firstly, if you've been getting something called Dark Iron Scraps, which is incredibly unlikely at the launch of Classic because this is tied to a Naxxrama's quest, save them. If you collect 30 scraps, you can turn them in at around level 58 for free experience. The Dark Iron Residue and the Incendosaur scales that we've been dropping are used for Thorium Brotherhood reputation quests. When you reach friendly with Thorium Brotherhood and complete the quest What the Flux, you will be able to turn in the residue for rep to get from friendly to honored. So if you're planning on grinding Thorium rep, save the residue. Same deal with the Incendosaur scales. You'll find quests in Thorium Point after you turn in What the Flux that lets you combine the scales with various gathered items and coal for reputation. It's basically used to get from neutral to friendly, and then you use the residue to get from friendly to honored. You can combine it with King's Blood if you're an herbalist, or iron if you're a miner, or heavy leather if you're a skinner, and the coal can be bought from most trade vendors. Since this is a leveling guide you are watching, you probably want to hit 60 before worrying about Thorium Brotherhood reputation, but I thought I'd let you know what this stuff is for so you can decide if you want to keep it for yourself or put it on the auction house. Vendoring it is a good money right now, but you'll probably get more out of it down the line if you put it on the auction house. Either way, once you kill the 20 Incendosaurs, we are done in the Slag Pit, so let's head out south from the direction you came in. Go up the ramp and then outside the Slag Pit, back into the cauldron. The bridge here loops back inside, but instead just jump down off the side of the cliff into the lava pits below, and you should start finding lots of elementals here. Make sure you finish up the Flawless Flame now if you have not already. Then you can get out of the cauldron by going far east or going west up the ramp guarded by Dark Irons. Once out of the cauldron, head back to Kalaran to turn in the quest The Flawless Flame and accept the follow-up Forging the Staff. The follow-up wants thorium plated daggers that drop off of all the dark irons. That's why it's nice to get this before we do the Slag Pit stuff, but in my case the drop rate on the Flawless Flame quest didn't work in my favor, so now we're going to finish off all the quests we still have left in this area. Run around Topside and kill any dark iron dwarves you can or still need to complete Job Opportunity Calling the Competition, Forging the Staff, the Stolen Quest, and also finish killing the golems for Kirsty's Fat Fingers. Searing Gorge is kind of a real love-hate questing zone. The quests are condensed and give lots of experience, but it's a lot of grinding on tricky mobs. In addition, these are all neutral quests, so you need to be on your toes if you are playing on a PvP server. When you turn in Forging the Staff, do not take the follow-up, then go back into Thorium Point. Turn in all the quests that you did. If you couldn't do Wanted Overseer Maltorius, you can abandon it now. If you got the Grimsilt outhouse key, make sure you take the quest from it, the key to freedom. Then clear up your bags and we will be riding to eastern Searing Gorge. Go south around the mountains towards the Grimsilt dig site. If you remember, there was a dwarf laying in the dig site from the previous part of the guide. We want to clear to the dig site around the northern side of it to start the escort. You should note that this escort is extremely buggy on the servers that I ran it on, so there may be some differences between what you get on the classic servers than what I experience here. First of all, my escort NPC, Doria Stone Render, spawned way north in the mountains, in the middle of nowhere, and once I accepted the quest, he ran back to the dig site. So this quest, Santara Stones, is actually a very hard escort. Unfortunately, because of the bugs, I can't accurately walk you through how to do it. Normally, you should escort Dorius north out of the dig site. He will go around the mountains then northwest and investigate the stones. Then you'll be ambushed by several dark iron poles of 2 to 3 dwarves. We can handle them pretty easily because they are 5 levels below us.
What can I do for you?
Need more wage.
Then he'll make his way northeast towards Loch Mauradon, and a big ambush of 4 dwarves will come at him. You can use Intimidating Shout, Retaliate, and let Dorius tank a bit, and you should be able to take them out.
I can't do that yet.
Once Dorius gets far enough north, he will die and drop a letter, which we'll interact with to turn in the quest Santara Stones and accept the follow-up quest. And with that, we will be done with Searing Gorge quests. But we need to also be level 50 by now. If for some reason you are not level 50, make sure to grind on the Dark Irons in the Slag Pit until you catch up. You should also note that we are skipping a few of the quests in this zone right now. There's an elite lizard to the south, and there's the flame casing and some others. We are not completely skipping these, we will be back here in a few levels. I found that these are easiest to solo at level 54. If you can get a group to do them now instead, that'd be a lot better to help you hit 50 if you aren't already, but I will not walk you through the quests just yet. Instead, we'll go over them later in this leveling guide. So for now, once you're level 50, head back to Thorium Point. And then we will be flying to Ironforge.
Talk to me. Watch your back.
Whoo loud, we're at the final stretch, and I've got some great news. Finally, the next 10 levels go faster than the previous 10 we just did. 40 to 50 is a bit of a slog, but this is where it picks up and gets fun. We've got the really difficult, challenging parts of the guide coming up, so saddle up your computer chair. When you land in Ironforge, head to the Hall of Explorers and turn in the quest Santara Stones, accept the follow-up Dwarven Justice. Then go to the back and talk to Historian Karnik for the quest Passing the Burden.
What's on your mind? Be good.
Then head north to the Mystic Ward. Go inside the northern house to turn in Passing the Burden and accept both the follow-up quests, Arcane Runes and an easy pickup.
How are ya? Hi. Safe travels.
Then, while you're here, make sure you train your level 50 abilities. For most classes, you should also get a level 50 class quest, but some were added later into the vanilla's life cycle because of the items they reward. We're going to cover the level 50 warrior class quest. Most of them are worth doing, but they send you to different locations, so try to weave it into your questing path if you are a different class following this guide. If the quest is not available, then just don't worry about it. Make sure you also visit the Hall of Arms in the military ward, and inside turn in the quest an easy pickup, and then accept and complete the next quest, signal for pickup, and you'll get a standard issue flare gun. It's very important that you do not lose or waste this flare gun's charges. Keep it in your bags at all times. Do some maintenance while you're in Ironforge as well. Clear your bags, use the bank, check the auction house now again for the 2 thorium bars and the mithril casing if you don't have them yet. With that all out of the way, we will be flying to Nethergard in Blasted Lands. When you land, start by going up the main tower. At the top, take the quest Petty Squabbles. Then we will head west out of Nethergard Keep and north towards the border of Swamp of Sorrows. You should find a spirit here right at the border called the Fallen Hero of the Horde. Talk to him to turn in the quest A Troubled Spirit and Petty Squabbles. Accept Warrior Kinship and A Tale of Sorrow, then talk to him to complete A Tale of Sorrow, but don't accept the Stones That Bind Us as the follow-up. We're too low level for that right now. I did try soloing the level 57s at level 50, let me just say it didn't go that good. It wasn't a good idea. So ride back south into the Blasted Lands. Just west of the road a bit, you should find a camp with 2 High Elves. From them, they should have 5 quests in total. Accept all 5. There's the Basilisk's Bite, Vulture's Vigor, Snickerfang Jowls, a Boar's Vitality, and the Decisive Striker. Then we are ready to start killing the wildlife. Now all 5 of these quests require a mishmash of reagents from the Basilisks, Vultures, Boars, Scorpions, and Hyenas in the Blasted Lands. Each quest is also tied to a different stat. The Basilisk's Bite grants Intelligence, Vulture's Vigor grants Spirit, Snickerfang Jowls grants Strength, a Boar's Vitality will give you Stamina, and the Decisive Striker gives Agility. Each time you turn in one of these quests, you not only will get a plus 25 to that stat as a consumable, but you'll also get the buff automatically. So it's ideal to try and complete Snickerfang Jowls and the Decisive Striker as a warrior first, to help with our kill speeds. Completing it will unlock a repeatable for getting this consumable for raids at max level, as it's pretty powerful, but the repeatable gives no experience, so it's only worth doing once. In total, for all of the quests, we will need 14 Vulture Gizzards, 6 Blasted Boar Lungs, 11 Basilisk Brains, 5 Snickerfang Jowls, and 6 Scorpock Pincers. Similar to the Shimmering Flats, the item we need most of, the Gizzards, is also the most annoying to get, because there aren't that many vultures that spawn in the Blasted Lands. That's why completing Vulture's Vigor is our lowest priority. You should instead use the Vulture Gizzards to complete the Decisive Striker and Basilisk Bite first before trying to complete Vulture's Vigor. You'll likely be grinding here for a while, so hopefully the map here will help you track the spawn points of all the vultures and the other beasts. In addition, while you are killing these things in Blasted Lands, the mobs have a chance to drop Drenithist Shard Fragments, and a blue version, the Perfect Drenithist Shards. If you get one of these, you can accept the quest from it and turn it in at the Lost One in the middle of Blasted Lands here. You can hold an infinite amount of them though, and only the first one grants experience. They always award you a green item for the green shard and a blue item for the blue shard, so it's great for fishing for upgrades or enchanting materials while you're here. The next thing to mention in Blasted Lands is there is a big black drake that flies around called Teramis the Devourer. He is a level 60 elite, so always be aware of your surroundings and keep track of him. If he aggroes you, you're pretty much just gonna die right away. And lastly, we also want to complete the level 50 Warrior class quest and turn it in and do its follow-up while we were doing the other quests. So if this quest is available to you at the time you are leveling, you can weave it in while you grind the other beasts. The first quest, Warrior Kinship, wants us to kill the Hellboars, which is perfect for us because they also drop blasted boar lungs for the other quests. The Hellboars spawn far to the south in the mountains around the Dark Portal. They're fairly close to some high level mobs and will be themselves orange to us, but it's still possible to kill the 7 we need fairly easily. When you complete the Warrior Kinship quest, you should mosey your way back on up north to the Swamp of Sorrows and turn it in at the fallen hero of the Horde for the follow-up War on the Shadowsworn. The second quest wants us to kill 50 Shadowsworn mobs. They spawn in eastern blasted lands over the wide area and inside the eastern cavern. Going into the cavern is a bit hectic and a bit suicidal, so my methodology for completing the quest is to kill the single pulls you need outside the cave in between killing the basilisks and vultures. As you do the gathering quests, don't set your goal as to complete all 5, as sometimes RNG can really screw you and they can take a long time to do. Instead, just try to get over halfway or 13 bars into level 51. I ended up dipping out and skipping Vulture's Vigor completely once I finished grinding out the Warrior quest and was roughly 3/4 of the level done. Anytime your bags get full, be sure to drop by Netherguard Keep the vendor and just keep the cash flowing in. When you're satisfied with the amount of experience you've gotten and completed all but Vulture's Vigor or Vulture's Vigor as well, we will head back to the Blood Elves and turn in the quests. Don't forget then to stop by the Forgotten Hero of the Horde and turn in War on the Shadowsworn and accept the follow-up Voodoo Feathers, if it's available. Once you've turned in all the quests, we will be hearthing back to Theramore Isle. In Theramore, if you don't have the Shadow Shard Fragment quest yet from up the tower, you should grab it now. Then we will be flying to Ruttheran Village Darnassus. It's a long ass flight, but as of right now we want to start looking for a Mauradon group. It may be difficult to find one if you are rushing to max level at a server launch. It's also an oddly placed dungeon, so you'll need to rely on global looking for group channels to find members. The upside is that all of the quests, except for the one that we already have, Shadow Shard Fragments, come from Desolace, and the dungeon drops are massively good upgrades for nearly every class. Some of them are even best in slot pre-raid items, so as a tank you'll probably find that anyone of level is willing to join a Maraudon quest run. We can technically just get a Princess Run group if those are already a thing on your server. The quest for Thrashblade only requires us to kill the last boss, but ideally get a full quest run so you can get the Mauradon staff yourself and get the quest done for an amazing trinket that is earlier in the dungeon. If you cannot get groups for the next dungeons though, don't panic. I doubt it will even affect your leveling speed much. It's more something to do instead of grinding and making the rest of our levels go smoothly. In this run, I actually got 0 gear upgrades from any of the dungeons after Deadmines, except for quest rewards, and it still went pretty fast. When you land in Ruttheran Village, go into the building and turn in the quest Handle with Care.
Greetings.
Then head up into Darnassus through the mystical purpley glowy thing. Go south into the Temple of the Moon and then go upstairs. Turn in the quest Rise of the Silithid and accept the follow-up March of the Silithid.
Be careful. God is watching.
Use the bank here and bank the extra Blasted Lands consumables you don't want to use. I will do fancy editing here because I did get a Mauradon group instantly. What you should be doing right now, next, is flying to Astronar in Ashenvale. And when you land in Azshara, you should set it as your Hearthstone location and then run east to Azshara. The reason you set your Hearthstone to Azshara is because while you quest in Azshara, if you find a group from Mauradon, you can easily hearth back to Azshara and fly to the dungeon. When you do get your group, check the video's description for the video guide of Mauradon, otherwise we'll be continuing on with Azshara for this part of the guide. In my case, I hearthed back to Theramore after I finished Mauradon, flew to Ratchet, and then I ran up the coast of the Barrens to reach Azshara. So either of them works as long as you end in the same place. Once you get to the far east end of Ashenvale, cross the bridge and enter the zone. Immediately upon entry, go south off the road and grab the flight path, and check the nearby tent and talk to the Tauren for the two quests, Spiritual Unrest and A Land Filled with Hatred.
Greetings, traveler. Peace, friend. May the eternal sun.
Then we'll start working on the quests, starting with the quest Spiritual Unrest. Go northeast of the road a bit, and you should find the Shadowsong Shrine filled with the ghosts that we need to complete Spiritual Unrest. We need 6 apparitions and 6 lichlings. These guys are pretty low level to us, so it should be easy. Just be aware that the apparitions cast fear, so try to interrupt it or sit in Zerker stance so you can break it with Zerker Rage. And the lichlings like to spam Frostbolt, so definitely interrupt it. Once you kill all 12 of the ghosts that you need to complete Spiritual Unrest, continue a little bit more northeast until you reach the Haldar encampment and start seeing Satyr. For the Satyr, we just need to kill more of these low-level mobs. We need 6 of the Satyr. You'll find most of them up on top of the ruins with the Fellsworn. So clear your way up the path killing Tricksters, Satyr, and Fellsworn until you get all of them dead that you need. The Fellsworn do spawn with pets and have annoying curses, but honestly nothing should really come close to threatening your life here. They're level 46 and we're level 50 or 51. Once it's finished, we'll head back to the flight path and talk to the Tauren to turn in both of the quests. We're turning them in now because we will be hearthing out of Azshara once we're done, so use this chance to clear up your bags as well. Then head back northeast along the road. Our target is a high elf NPC lining the northern mountains, but be wary of the horde camp that's nearby and don't run through it, and also avoid the elite mountain giants that are walking around. We won't be in Azshara for very long, but be very cautious while you're leveling here. The graveyard in this zone is in a horrible location, so if you die, you're going to have to do a 5 to 10 minute corpse run. So play extra safe, you really don't want to have to make that corpse run. When you reach the High Elf here, take the quest from him, A Meeting with the Master. This quest wants 2 undamaged hippogriff feathers. We want to go northeast, and on our way, we should spot a ton of hippogriffs. So hop off your mount and grind your way through the hippogriffs, and try to make sure you have the 2 feathers before you get to our next destination. Whenever you do get the feathers, you can just hop back on your mount and ride the rest of the way. Be careful as you travel through Ursulland though. you'll start seeing timber maw furbolgs, and they will be aggressive to us, but we do not want to kill them, as this will lower our timber maw hold faction, and we need to get unfriendly with them to use their tunnel to travel between Felwood and Winterspring later. If you piss them off, then you'll never be able to use that tunnel without them attacking you. So don't fight them even if they knock you off your mount. When you reach the point marked on the map, Lagash's camp, sneak up to the top of the hill from the north side and talk to the goblin for the quest Kim Jail Indeed. Then ride south of the hill to the Thalassian base camp, where you will find a bunch of blood elves. This quest is very hard. It's one of the top 10 hard quests to solo because we're doing it at level 50 and these mobs are higher level and they hit extremely hard with their spells. We cannot kill more than one of these blood elves at a time or we will die. You have to interrupt them when you fight them or you will die. The quest we want to do here, Kim Jail Indeed, requires us to loot crates around their camp, Kim Jail's equipment. However, each time you loot a crate, there is no guarantee you will get the quest items that we need, so you'll need to loot quite a few of them. Sometimes you can get all 4 quest items from one crate if the light shines upon you, but other times you'll be here a while. There is a very specific path through this camp we can follow that lets us repeatedly loot 3 crates on their respawn timers, without having to fight any large pulls of the Blood Elves. The first step is to make it to the south end of the camp by clearing around the eastern tents. Hug the mountain and slip past the big camp, and directly south, overlooking the cliff, you'll find a small ruined set of pillars with the first crate. This crate is always completely uncontested. There's no blood elves that spawn here, so it's easy to grab. Once you have it, clear west up the hill and then hug the east end of the hill and clear north.
Not ready yet. Not ready yet. Target. I can't do that yet. I can't.
Slip past the tents on your left and instead clear to the tent directly in front of you, in front of the large ruined structure. There is a single pole in front of the tent, and beside the tent there is another crate, and then beside the large ruined structure to the right there is the third crate. If you keep moving between these 3 crates and killing all the single blood elf poles between them, it is possible to complete this quest. It can sometimes take a while, but this quest has a very easy to do follow-up, so it's worth getting it done.
That ability isn't ready yet. I can't do that yet.
Once you get all 4 quest items to complete Kim Jail Indeed, run back north to Kim Jail and turn in the quest for the follow-up, Kim Jail's Missing Equipment. Then ride back south. We want to drop down onto the coast now. There's not a whole lot of safe places to jump off the cliffs, so find an area where you can safely slide down onto the land or slide into the water. When you get down onto the shattered strand, we want to start killing these Naga. We are killing these Nagas because we want to get the rune to complete the quest Kim Jail's Missing Equipment. However, as you kill them, you should notice that these Nagas are extremely easy for warriors to kill because they have low armor and they have a high dodge chance and proc overpower. If you are forced to skip the Mauradon dungeon, you should grind here now and make sure you hit level 51 and then some. Even if you hate grinding, the XP per hour you get here as a warrior is extremely high. So definitely stay here until you finish the quest and ding at least level 51. Hell, I was already above level 51 from doing Mauradon and I still grinded here for a little bit just because it's so easy going. But don't get sucked into it too much as the next zone's quests go super fast, so we won't need to grind much more for this leveling guide.
That ability isn't ready yet. I can't do that yet.
When you finish with those requirements, your 51 and Kim Jail's missing equipment is complete. We need to get up off the coast, and the best path for us to take is right up the middle, as it'll lead us to our next quest objectives.
That ability isn't ready yet. Need more rage.
When you get up off the coast west, up the ramp, immediately go south and you should find a big ol' purple glowing pillar. This is where we will start working on the quest Arcane Ruins. First, you should note that if one of these pillars was recently looted by another player, they will not be there, so if you don't see it, it just means you need to wait for it to respawn. Clear to the first pillar and interact with it, and you should get the first rubbing we need for the quest, Arcane Ruins. There are 3 other pillars in this area, and we're surrounded by more Naga, lower level than the ones on the coast, so even easier to kill. So make sure you grind excessively as you make your way to the next pillar. The next one is right in the middle of the ruins where all of the roads converge, so follow the roads to the circle and then loot the rubbing of Beth Amara. From there, go southeast along the road, and just a little bit east off the road behind the next ruined building, you should find the next pillar, easily spottable from the road itself.
That ability isn't ready yet.
The fourth and final rubbing of Sail High is a bit far away, far south and then east a good distance, away from the others. Just kill your way through the Naga and you should find it out front of a large rectangular ruined building surrounded by pillars.
It's too far away. Not ready yet. I need to get
With that, we're kinda sorta done with Azshara, but we've gotta turn these quests in, and it's a bit of a pain. And we love killing Naga, so first we will grind our way northwest until you find the ramp that leads to the upper levels of Azshara.
Not enough. That ability isn't ready yet. Inventory is full. Not ready yet. That ability isn't ready.
The first target then is to turn in a meeting with the Master along the northern mountains. Find the High Elf and he'll teleport you when you turn in the quest up the mountain once you complete it. But we don't want to be up here, so talk to the human nearby and teleport back down the mountain.
See you later.
Then ride northeast back to Kim Jail up on his little camp in the Lagash encampment. When you get to him, turn in the quest Kim Jail's missing equipment. Now to turn in the last quest, Arcane Ruins, we need that flare gun that I told you to hold on to from Ironforge. We need to turn this quest in the middle of freaking nowhere. So if you don't have your hearth up, grind on the Naga until your hearth comes up, because we want a hearth once we turn this in.
Not enough rage.
We can drop down from Kim Jail and run or grind across the coast to the south side, and then take the path up back to Upper Azshara when you're on southern Azshara, and then ride east across the northern bridges here. Run through or try to kill the higher level Naga and get as close to the edge of the cliffs east as possible. Then find a smooth way to slide down the mountains close to the island. And then swim out to the island. And when you get to the islands, step onto the small landing pad, use the flare gun, and it should make an NPC on an airplane appear. Talk to him to turn in the quest Arcane Runes, and accept Return to Timor. Once you've got it turned in, hearth back to Astronar, or in my case, hearth back to Theramore Isle. Wherever you end up hearthing, the next place you want to fly to is Ratchet. When you get to Ratchet, go into the southern house, and outside of it, loot the chest for the stone circle, and then go inside and accept the quest Volcanic Activity, clear up your bags, and then go back to the Flight Master. If you need to train your first aid, you can fly to Theramore, otherwise we will fly straight to Gadgetzan. And that's where we'll stop with this part of the leveling guide. We're level 51 and we're on our way to my favorite leveling zone, but we'll start with that in the next part of this guide. Until then, I am booping out.